Most buyers think they're hiding their intentions when they walk into a showing, but within 5 minutes, it is already obvious whether this is a maybe or whether it's the one. In this video, I'll show you the exact behaviors that separate serious buyers from just looking, how I read what people aren't saying the moment they walk in, and the subtle shifts that tell me this house isn't just a showing, it's a decision. Over the years, I've walked into hundreds of showings with people I've never met before. Different backgrounds, different budgets, different personalities. But here's what's interesting. The ones who end up buying, they all start to look the same within minutes. Not in what they say, but in how they move, what they focus on, and the way they start interacting with the house. It's subtle, but once you've seen it enough times, you can't unsee it. This isn't me reading your mind, it's pattern recognition. After doing this for so many years, you just start to see the same behavior show up again and again. People try to hold their cards close to their chest, especially when the listing agent is there. They stay guarded, careful with what they say, but there's only so much you can hide in how you move through a house. And if you know what to look for, it shows up immediately. The first thing I'm watching happens before we even get past the entry. Some people walk in and they pause. They kind of wait, they kind of look to me for direction, like, where should we go first? It's polite, it's cautious, it's undecided. And then there are the buyers. They walk in, they're already moving. They don't wait. They don't need to be told anything. They start opening doors, stepping into rooms. They are taking it all in, almost like they're trying to get a feel for how this place works. It's not about confidence. It's not about personality. It's about clarity. Buyers don't enter a house like guests. They enter like they're already trying to live there. And once they start moving through the house, the next thing that gives it away is the questions. Because there's a big difference between someone gathering information and someone trying to make a decision. The just looking crowd asks safe questions, polite questions, things that keep the conversation going, but don't actually move anything forward. How old is the house? Has anything been upgraded? Is the neighborhood nice? Nothing wrong with those, but they're not decision drivers. Serious buyers sound a little different. They're asking about comps, how long it's been on the market, what the seller is actually looking for, why they're moving. They want to know the age of all the key components, the roof, the AC, anything that could turn into a real cost later. And here's the part that most people miss. They're not just asking questions to learn, they're trying to find problems. They're stress testing the house in real time, running through risk, cost, and what could break this deal later. So when someone starts digging like that, it doesn't mean they're pulling away. It usually means they're leaning in. Now here's the biggest shift, and once you see this, you'll never miss it again. At some point in the showing, serious buyers stop looking at the house and they start living in it in their minds. You'll hear it in how they talk. Where would the couch go? Okay, groceries would come in through here. Does this make sense for our morning routine? They're not reaching anymore. They're placing themselves inside it. They're testing how their life actually fits. And this is where it really separates. The people who aren't going to buy, they get distracted by easy stuff, paint colors, cabinet handles, decoration choices, things that can be changed in a weekend. But serious buyers, they move past all of that. They start focusing on what can't change, the layout, the flow, how the spaces connect. Because at that point, they're not asking, do I like this house? They're asking, does my life work here? And then there's how long they stay and what they do with that time. Serious buyers don't rush through a house. They slow down in the rooms that really matter. The kitchen, the primary, the main living spaces. You'll see them pause, stand there for a second, look around, not saying much, but they're thinking. And more importantly, they circle back. They'll go through the house once, maybe twice, and then they go back to the rooms that stuck with them. That's not random. That's them trying to confirm something. The just looking crowd, it's usually one straight path. In and out, no revisiting, no slowing down. They're a little distracted, but when someone starts looping back, spending time, getting quiet, that's engagement on a different level. And then there's my favorite tell, the driveway conversation. Because the showing doesn't actually end when you walk out the front door. Serious buyers don't just leave, they pause. They stand in the driveway or by the car and they start talking it through. What do you think? Could we make this work? What will we need to change? That moment right there, that's where it starts to become real. If the conversation moves to the driveway, we're getting close. Now here's the part that throws people off. Serious buyers don't always look excited. In fact, a lot of the time they get quieter. They slow down, they get more focused, more specific. They stop reacting out loud and start processing internally. And if you don't know what you're looking at, it can feel like they're losing interest. But it's the opposite. Excitement is easy. Commitment is disciplined. When the stakes are real, price, terms, inspections, everything that comes after, people don't get louder. They get sharper. They start narrowing instead of browsing. And that shift is usually where the decision is starting to form. You'll see it again in what happens next. Because serious buyers don't disappear after a showing. They follow up fast. More questions, more specifics. They want clarity. They want numbers. They want to understand what it would actually take to make this happen. The just looking crowd, they fade out. Let's think about it. We'll get back to you. And sometimes they do, but most of the time they don't. The showing is one thing. What happens after tells you everything. And this is where I think it's important to say this clearly. I'm not in the business of convincing you to buy a house. I'm not here to push you or sell you on something that doesn't fit. My job is to guide you through it, to point things out, to help you see what works, what doesn't, and what can be changed. Because most houses aren't perfect when you walk in, but the right one, you can start to see how it becomes yours. And when that shift starts happening, you don't need to be convinced. You just need somebody there to help you recognize it. And once you start to feel that shift, when a house goes from this is nice to this could really work, that's where a lot of buyers make a mistake. Because feeling like it's the one and knowing it's the right one, those are two very different things. There are things that matter in a house that you will never see in photos. And honestly, a lot of people don't even notice them during a showing. So if you want to make sure you're not missing something that could cost you later, go ahead and click right here and watch this next video. In that video, I'm going to walk you through the things that you need to look for that photos will never show you. Light, noise, how the home actually lives, so you can make a decision that you feel really confident about. And even as you're watching that next video, I want you thinking differently about every house you walk into. What's real, what actually matters, and what you might be missing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.